The first time our civilization encountered humans, we thought they were a joke. "You can't be serious," I said, staring at the projection. "Those are the creatures who destroyed the Krex Armada? They look so soft." Admiral Voxnar clicked his mandibles with impatience. "Don't be fooled by appearances, Lieutenant Zarkul. The humans may not have exoskeletons or natural weapons, but they have managed to survive on a death world with 26 different apex predators." I studied the bipedal creatures again. Pink skin, no protective plating, blunt teeth, hardly intimidating. With respect, Admiral, how dangerous could they be? They don't even have decent claws. That's exactly what the Krex thought, Voxnar rumbled, his four eyes narrowing. Now the Krex don't exist anymore. That got my attention. Everyone in the galaxy knew the Krex Armada, a warrior species that had subjugated 12 systems before turning their attention toward a little blue planet on the outer rim. Nobody had expected much from the humans. Nobody except the humans themselves, apparently. "The High Council is meeting tomorrow to decide our approach," Voxnar continued. "We need intelligence. Real intelligence, not the garbage reports the Krex sent before they went silent. I'm assigning you to lead a reconnaissance mission." I stood straighter, my dorsal spines extending with pride. "Yes, Admiral." "When do we depart?" "Immediately. The Council fears the humans may be planning expansion now that they have tasted victory. We need to understand what we are dealing with before we decide whether to extend diplomatic relations or prepare for conflict." "And if they attack us?" I asked. Admiral Voxnar's faceplates shifted into what our species considers a grim smile. "Then may the eternal stars have mercy on us all, because if the reports are true, the humans certainly won't." 3 solar cycles later, our stealth vessel entered Earth's outer atmosphere. My team consisted of myself, our xenobiologist Dr. Pax Lore, communications specialist Tren Ka, and security officer Drool, a hulking brute whose singular name reflected his singular purpose. Approaching the northern continent, Tren K announced, her slender fingers dancing across the control panel. "Sensors detect high population density in this region." "Take us lower," I ordered, "but maintain stealth protocols. I don't want to trigger any defense systems." Dr. Pax Lore peered at her screens, compound eyes reflecting the data feeds. "Fascinating. Their atmosphere is primarily nitrogen and oxygen, a highly combustible combination. Which means?" I prompted. "Which means their entire planet is essentially a bomb waiting to go off, and somehow they evolved in it anyway." Pax Lore shook her head. "These humans live in an environment that would kill most species in the Confederation within minutes." "Deathworlders," Drool grunted. It was the most I'd heard him say all day. Our ship descended through cloud cover, revealing a sprawling human settlement below. Rectangular structures stretched toward the sky, connected by a web of roadways teeming with primitive ground vehicles. "They still use combustion engines?" I marveled. "How have they not poisoned themselves into extinction?" "Oh, they are working on it," Pax Lore replied dryly. "Their atmosphere shows signs of significant pollution, but they are remarkably resilient. Their bodies can process toxins that would liquefy our internal organs." Tren K suddenly stiffened. "Lieutenant, I'm picking up a signal. It's targeting us." "Impossible," I snapped. "Our stealth technology is the best in the Confederation." "Nevertheless," she insisted, "something is scanning us. Very precisely." Before I could respond, a voice crackled through our communications system in perfect Confederation standard. "Unidentified spacecraft, this is United Earth Defense Force. You have entered restricted airspace. Identify yourself immediately." We froze. Tren Ka looked at me with all 4 of her eyes wide with shock. "How?" I whispered. "How do they know our language?" The voice came again. "Repeat, unidentified spacecraft. Identify yourself, or we will be forced to take defensive measures." "What defensive measures could they possibly?" I began. The ship rocked violently as something struck our left stabilizer. Warning lights flooded the cabin. "They have hit us with some kind of energy weapon." Tren K shouted over the alarms. Stealth systems compromised. Evasive maneuvers. I ordered. Get us out of here. Too late. Our ship shuddered as a tractor beam locked onto us, overriding our navigation systems and pulling us inexorably downward. They have tractor beam technology? Dr. Paxlore squeaked. That's impossible. The Krex reports indicated they were centuries away from such developments. The Krex reports were obviously wrong, I growled. Drool. Prepare for potential hostile contact. Non-lethal responses only. Drool grunted acknowledgement, checking his stun baton. As our ship was forced down toward a large, open area surrounded by imposing structures, I saw them dozens of humans in dark uniforms, holding what appeared to be weapons, waiting for us. Well, I said with forced lightness, at least we'll get that close-up intelligence the Admiral wanted. The humans put us in separate holding facilities they called rooms. Mine contained strange furniture designed for their bizarre body structure and was lit with harsh artificial lighting that made my photoreceptors ache. After what felt like an eternity, the door opened and 2 humans entered. 1 male, 1 female, if my briefing materials were correct. The female had head fur in a striking red color, while the male's was dark and cropped close to his skull. I am General Madison Parker, the female said, again in perfect Confederation standard. This is Dr. Thomas Kumar. Welcome to Earth. I stood as tall as my restrained limbs would allow. Lieutenant Tsar Kool of the Confederation scout vessel Distant Horizon. How do you know our language? The 2 humans exchanged glances. The Krex were kind enough to provide linguistic data before they departed, General Parker said with a smile that displayed far too many teeth. You mean before you annihilated them, I corrected. Dr. Kumar shrugged. They started it. The Krex Armada had conquered 12 systems. I exclaimed. They had technology thousands of years beyond yours. How did you possibly defeat them? We asked nicely for them to leave, General Parker said. When that didn't work, we tried less nice methods. Don't be coy, General, Dr. Kumar interjected. The lieutenant deserves honesty. He turned to me. We studied their tech when they landed their first scouts, reverse-engineered what we could, and then improved upon it. Turns out, when your species has spent its entire existence trying to kill each other, you get pretty good at weaponry. I felt my throat sack constrict with anxiety. And what do you intend to do with us? General Parker's expression softened slightly. That depends on why you are here. Are you an advanced scout for an invasion force? Or genuinely here for reconnaissance? Just reconnaissance, I assured her quickly. The Confederation is curious about your species after what happened with the Krex. Worried, you mean, Dr. Kumar said with a knowing look. I didn't deny it. Smart, General Parker nodded. But unnecessary. Humans aren't interested in conquest. We just want to be left alone. Unfortunately, the galaxy seems intent on not allowing that. The Krex weren't the first aliens to visit Earth, Dr. Kumar explained, sitting down across from me. Just the first ones stupid enough to announce themselves with an attack fleet. This was news. You have had previous contact? Let's just say we have been dealing with unwanted visitors for millennia, General Parker said. Most were just curious like you. Some were less friendly. We have gotten very good at handling both types. I tried to process this information. But your technology, your civilization, the reports said you had only achieved spaceflight within the last century. Dr. Kumar actually laughed. Your reports were partially correct. Our official public space program is indeed young. What the Confederation doesn't know is that we have had help. Both from recovered alien technology and from certain extraterrestrial parties who found humans interesting. The Watchers, General Parker added. They have been observing us for a long time. Occasionally, they have even intervened. The Watchers? I'd heard whispers about them, a mysterious ancient race that supposedly observed developing civilizations, but most considered them a myth. So what happens now? I asked. Now, General Parker stood. "We are going to give you and your crew a tour. Show you what humanity is really about. Then you are going to take a message back to your Confederation." "What message?" Her expression hardened. "That Earth wants peace, but we are prepared for war. And anyone who brings war to our doorstep will regret it." The humans transported us to what they called New York City, a teeming metropolis of contradictions. Gleaming towers of glass stood alongside crumbling brick structures. Vehicles powered by both primitive combustion and advanced anti-gravity technology shared the same roads. Humans of all sizes and colors moved with purpose, barely noticing the military escort surrounding 4 obviously alien visitors. "Your people don't seem alarmed by our presence," I noted to Dr. Kumar, who had been assigned as our primary guide. "Oh, they think you are actors for a new streaming series," he replied with a chuckle. "We have found it's easier to hide aliens in plain sight than to try to keep them secret. Nobody believes in real aliens anymore, not since we started putting them in all our entertainment." "Clever," Dr. Paxlor admitted grudgingly. "Social camouflage." Our escort took us through various facilities, some military, some civilian. I was stunned by the contrasts. Their medical technology was simultaneously primitive and revolutionary. They still cut open bodies for surgery, yet had nanobots that could repair cellular damage. Their weapons ranged from explosive projectiles to directed energy beams that could slice through Confederation armor like it was paper. "This doesn't make sense," I whispered to Paxlor as we observed a manufacturing plant. "Their technology is all over the development spectrum. It's like they have advanced in random bursts rather than a linear progression." "Because they have," General Parker interjected, her hearing apparently better than we'd assumed. "When you steal tech from every alien race that tries to invade you, you end up with a patchwork. We have been integrating alien technology into our civilization for thousands of years." "The ancient astronaut theorists were right all along," Dr. Kumar added with apparent amusement. "They just didn't have the full picture." We were taken to a military installation next, where human soldiers trained alongside robotic units. The efficiency of their movements was unsettling. "Your combat forces are impressive," Drool said, speaking for the first time since our capture. General Parker nodded. "Humanity has been at war with itself for most of its history. Only recently have we mostly united." "Mostly?" Tren Ka asked. "We still have our disagreements," Dr. Kumar admitted. "But external threats tend to bring us together." The final stop on our tour was what they called a containment facility. Inside were dozens of stasis pods, each containing a different alien species. "These are the hostile visitors we have captured over the centuries," General Parker explained. "Some are still alive in stasis. Others are preserved specimens. We learn from all of them." I recognized several species, including 3 that were supposedly extinct. One pod contained a Krex warrior. "You kept them as trophies?" I asked, horrified. "No," Dr. Kumar shook his head firmly. "As reminders of what happens when species can't find common ground." General Parker stepped closer to me. "The Krex demanded our submission. When we refused, they demanded our resources. When we refused again, they demanded our blood. And," I found myself asking, despite already knowing the terrible answer. Her eyes grew cold. "They asked for blood. We flooded their suns, turned their home stars into supernovas. It wasn't what we wanted, Lieutenant. It was what they forced us to do." I felt my exoskeleton tighten with fear. You destroyed their stars? How is that even possible?" "Humanity has gotten very good at adapting technology for destructive purposes," Dr. Kumar said quietly. "It's not something we are proud of, but it's kept us alive. The Watchers helped with that too, didn't they?" Paxlor asked suddenly. The 2 humans exchanged glances again. "The Watchers have their own agenda," General Parker said carefully. "Sometimes it aligns with humanity's survival. Sometimes not. We are taking you to meet one tomorrow," Dr. Kumar added. They specifically requested to speak with your delegation before you return to the Confederation. That night, in our assigned quarters, my team gathered to discuss what we'd learned. They are lying, Tren K insisted. No species could advance this quickly without outside help, but the Watchers. They are a myth. I'm not so sure, Paxlor countered. The technological disparities we have observed would be consistent with a non-linear development path. And if they have been fighting off alien incursions for millennia. Whether the Watchers exist or not, I interrupted, the humans are clearly more advanced and more dangerous than our intelligence suggested. The Confederation needs to know this. Rule, who had been silently staring out the window at the glittering city, spoke unexpectedly. They could have killed us. They didn't. We all turned to look at him. What's your point? Tren Ka asked. They want peace, Drool said simply, but they are ready for war. Respect that. Coming from a warrior of Drool's caliber, this assessment carried weight. I agree, I said after a moment. I believe they are sincere in wanting peaceful relations. But they are also showing us their strength as a warning. The question is, Paxlor mused, what do the Watchers want with us? None of us had an answer. The facility where we were taken the next day was unlike any human structure we'd seen. It was built partially underground, its architecture flowing in organic rather than the angular designs humans seemed to prefer. This building wasn't made by human hands, was it? I asked Dr. Kumar as we descended in a transparent elevator. No, he confirmed. This was a gift from the Watchers, constructed about 300 years ago. It serves as their embassy on Earth, though they rarely occupy it physically. The elevator doors opened onto a vast chamber with a domed ceiling that somehow showed the stars despite being underground. In the center of the room was a pool of what appeared to be liquid metal, constantly shifting and reforming. What now? I asked, looking around the empty room. We wait, General Parker said, standing at parade rest. We didn't wait long. The pool of metal began to rise, forming into a humanoid shape that towered over us all. Its surface constantly rippled, like quicksilver in motion, occasionally revealing glimpses of complex machinery underneath. Greetings, Confederation representatives, the being said, its voice resonating not through the air but directly in our minds. I am Nexus, an interface for the collective you know as the Watchers. I stepped forward on shaking legs. You are real. The stories are true. Some are, Nexus replied, its featureless face rippling. Many are not. The Watchers have been observing developing species throughout this galaxy for millions of years. Humanity is one of our special projects. Why? Paxlor blurted out. What makes them special? The silver figure turned toward her. Adaptability. Creativity. Determination. Most species evolve to fit their environment. Humans change their environment to fit them. Most species surrender when faced with superior force. Humans innovate and fight back. Most importantly, humans balance on the knife edge between creation and destruction in a way no other species has managed. You have been helping them, I accused, giving them technology. Some technology, yes, Nexus confirmed, but not weapons. Never weapons. Those humanity has developed entirely on their own. General Parker cleared her throat. The Watchers have been more like guides. They have helped us understand the technology we have recovered from various visitors, but they have never interfered directly in our conflicts. Until the Krex, Dr. Kumar added quietly. Nexus's form rippled more violently. The Krex violated our non-interference protocols. They were warned. A chill ran through me. You helped the humans destroy the Krex home stars. No, Nexus corrected. We merely declined to stop them. The stellar destruction technology was humanity's creation, adapted from principles they observed in our propulsion systems. We neither encouraged nor prevented its use. Why are you telling us this? Tren K asked. Why reveal yourselves now? Because the Confederation stands at a crossroads, Nexus replied. Your leadership is divided on how to approach Earth. Some some counseled diplomacy. Others fear what humanity represents and advocate for, preventative measures.
I stiffened. This was highly classified information. How could they possibly know about the internal debates of our High Council? As if reading my thoughts, and perhaps it was Nexus continued. The Watchers have observers in many places, Lieutenant Zarkul, including within your Confederation. Are you threatening us? I demanded, my courage bolstered by indignation. No, Nexus form seemed to soften. I am offering clarity. The Confederation fears humanity will become the next Krex conqueror spreading across the galaxy. This fear is unfounded. Humans do not seek conquest. They seek understanding, connection, and security. Then why develop weapons capable of destroying stars? Pax lore challenged. For the same reason they domesticated wolves and split the atom, Nexus replied. Because they could, and because they feared what would happen if they couldn't. Humanity's greatest strength is turning their fears into tools. What do you want from the Confederation? I asked directly.
Recognition of Earth as a sovereign world, and non-interference in human affairs, and perhaps in time alliance. General Parker stepped forward. Humanity is ready to join the galactic community, Lieutenant. But we'll do so as equals, not as subjects or specimens. We offer friendship freely, but we will not tolerate threats.
And if the Confederation decides humanity is too dangerous to exist? I asked the question that had been haunting me since we'd learned of the Krex's fate.
Nexus's form grew perfectly still. Then the Confederation will learn why the Watchers have invested so much in humanity's survival. The room fell silent. The threat or promise hung in the air like a blade. Take this message to your leaders, Lieutenant Zarkul, Nexus said finally. The path of peace offers prosperity for all. The alternative benefits no one. With that, the silver figure collapsed back into the pool, which drained away through invisible channels in the floor. Well, Dr. Kumar said with forced cheerfulness, breaking the tense silence, it went better than expected. Our ship was repaired and provisioned for the return journey. As we prepared to depart, General Parker approached me on the landing pad. One last thing, Lieutenant, she said, handing me a small device. A gift for your Confederation leadership. I examined the object cautiously. What is it? We call it a quantum communicator. It allows for instantaneous communication across any distance, a gesture of goodwill, and a direct line if decisions need to be made quickly. I accepted the device, understanding the subtext. It was both an olive branch and a reminder that Earth could reach the Confederation at any moment. I will deliver your message, General, I promised. Both the spoken and unspoken parts. She smiled, a genuine expression this time, not the predatory display of teeth from our first meeting. Safe journey, Lieutenant. I hope when we meet again, it will be as allies. As our ship lifted off, I watched the blue planet recede, its oceans and clouds forming a deceptively peaceful tableau. Set course for Confederation space, I ordered Trenka, maximum speed. Do you think the Council will listen? Pax Lore asked quietly. Or will they see this as confirming their fears? I considered the question carefully. I don't know. But I intend to make them understand what we have learned. Which is? Drool prompted. I looked back at the view screen, where Earth was now just a bright dot among countless stars. That we have discovered a species that destroyed suns to protect their home. And if the Confederation is wise, we'll make sure they never have reason to do so again. As our ship accelerated into hyperspace, I couldn't shake the feeling that the fate of the Confederation, perhaps of the entire galaxy, now rested on what we had witnessed, and on what would happen next. The return journey to Confederation space took 16 solar cycles. 16 cycles for me to contemplate what we'd witnessed on Earth, and 16 cycles to prepare my report for the High Council. A report that would either forge an alliance with humanity or potentially trigger their wrath. No pressure. Approaching Confederation border checkpoint, Tren Ka announced as we dropped out of hyperspace. They are hailing us. I straightened my uniform and cleared my throat. Open communications. The view screen flickered to life, revealing the stern face of Border Commander Zultak, his purple facial ridges flushed with what appeared to be agitation. Scout vessel distant horizon. You are 3 weeks overdue, he barked. Explain your delay immediately. We were detained by the humans, I replied simply. Zultak's ridges paled instantly. You made contact? Survivors? As you can see, I gestured to my very much alive crew.
High Command has been in chaos since you missed your check-ins, Zultak said, lowering his voice. Admiral Voxnar has been relieved of duty. The war faction gained significant influence in your absence.
My stomach sank. War faction? There's a war faction now? The military council pushed for preemptive action against Earth while you were gone. They have been building support for a first strike option. That would be suicide. Paxlor gasped from her station. Zultak's eyes narrowed. You need to report to High Command immediately. Your escort is already en route. He leaned closer to the screen. And Lieutenant, be careful what you say. Things have changed. The transmission ended, leaving us staring at each other in stunned silence. Well, Tren K said with forced brightness, sounds like we missed all the excitement. Something's wrong, I muttered. Admiral Voxnar wouldn't advocate for war. He was the one who pushed for reconnaissance first. Drool grunted from his security station. Politics. The escort vessel is approaching, Tren K reported. It's a battle cruiser. A battle cruiser? For us? Paxlor's antenna twitched nervously. That seems excessive. I watched through the view screen as the massive vessel came alongside our tiny scout ship, the Indomitable, one of the flagships of the Confederation fleet, bristling with weapons and emanating power. This wasn't an escort, it was a statement. We are being instructed to dock in their hangar bay, Tren Ka said. I took a deep breath. Comply, and prepare all our data for immediate transfer to secure storage. I want backups of everything. You think they'll try to confiscate our findings? Paxlor asked quietly. I think, I replied, watching the battlecruiser loom ever larger, that we need to be prepared for anything. The welcoming committee consisted of 6 heavily armed guards and a severe-looking official I recognized as Counselor Vrax, head of the Military Advisory Board. That's not a good sign. Lieutenant Zarkul, she greeted me, her voice as cold as space itself. The Council awaits your report with great interest. I'm prepared to deliver it immediately, I replied, matching her formality. Excellent. She gestured to the guards. Your crew will remain here while you brief the Council. I hesitated. My team has valuable insights that. Your team, Vrax interrupted, will be debriefed separately. Protocol, Lieutenant. It absolutely was not protocol, but arguing seemed unwise with 6 plasma rifles pointed in our general direction. Of course, Counselor, I conceded. Turning to my team, I added, prepare all materials for individual debriefings. Paxlor caught my eye, giving an almost imperceptible nod. She understood my earlier instruction about the backups. I followed Counselor Vrax through the battlecruiser's gleaming corridors, noting the heightened security and battle-ready status of the crew we passed. The ship hummed with tension. The Confederation seems on alert, I observed casually. We have been at defense condition 2 since your disappearance, Vrax replied without looking back. The loss of contact with your vessel was interpreted as a hostile action by the humans. We weren't lost, I corrected. We were guests. Vrax stopped abruptly, turning to face me. Guests? Is that what you call prisoners now, Lieutenant? We were detained initially, yes, but then treated with respect and… Spare me the Stockholm Syndrome, Lieutenant, she snapped. The humans captured a Confederation vessel, compromised our stealth technology, and held Confederation citizens against their will. Those are acts of aggression. I opened my mouth to argue, then thought better of it. Better to present my complete findings to the full Council rather than get into a debate in a hallway. Vrax studied my face, then nodded, apparently satisfied by my silence. The Council is convening in the battlecruiser's command center. We'll be rejoining the main fleet immediately after your briefing. The main fleet? I repeated, alarm bells ringing in my mind. What main fleet? All will be explained. Lieutenant, she said, resuming our march through the corridor. All will be explained. The command center of the Indomitable had been converted into an impromptu council chamber. 7 of the 9 high counselors were physically present, with the remaining 2 attending via holographic projection. All eyes turned to me as I entered. High Counselor Tex R., the nominal leader of our government, nodded to me from the central position. Lieutenant Tsar Cole, your return is most timely. I bowed respectfully. High Counselor, honored council, I apologize for our delayed return. The reconnaissance mission to Earth produced unexpected results. So we gathered from your absence, Counselor Mexarn said. The ancient politician's scales had grayed with age, but his eyes remained sharp. We are eager to hear your findings. I took a deep breath, organizing my thoughts. This was perhaps the most important report I would ever deliver. The humans, I began, are not what we expected. Their technological level is inconsistent, but much more advanced than our intelligence suggested. They detected our stealth ship with ease, disabled it with precision, and captured us without casualties. How many vessels were involved in your capture? Counselor Vrax interrupted. None. They used ground-based defenses. Murmurs spread through the council. They were tracking us before we entered their atmosphere, I continued. And they speak our language fluently. Impossible, one of the holographic counselors scoffed. They extracted linguistic data from the Kreks before destroying them, I explained. The humans have been dealing with extraterrestrial contact for thousands of years. They have been integrating captured alien technology into their civilization throughout their history. I proceeded to detail our experiences on Earth, the military installations, the technological disparities, the containment facility with preserved alien specimens. I described the humans' strange combination of warmth and warning, their expressed desire for peace coupled with their readiness for war. Then I reached the part about the Watchers. The humans claim to have a relationship with an ancient species known as the Watchers, I said carefully, watching the reactions around the table. We were introduced to an entity calling itself Nexus, which claimed to be an interface for this collective. High Counselor Tex R leaned forward. The Watchers are a myth, Lieutenant. With respect, High Counselor, I saw one with my own eyes. Or at least its representative. I described the silver shape-shifting entity and its telepathic communication. And this Nexus, what did it want? Counselor Mexarn asked. It claimed the Watchers have been guiding human development for millennia. It also claimed to have observers within the Confederation itself. I paused, letting that sink in. It requested recognition of Earth as a sovereign world, non-interference in human affairs, and eventually alliance. Preposterous, Vrax snapped. These are obviously fabrications designed to intimidate you. The humans destroyed the Kreks' home stars, I said quietly. They turned their suns into supernovas. That capability alone warrants caution in our approach. A heavy silence fell over the room. Show us, High Counselor Tex R finally said. I connected my data pad to the room's systems and played selected recordings from our visit, careful to include footage of the human military capabilities, the preserved aliens, General Parker's warnings, and our interaction with Nexus. When the recordings ended, the silence continued for several long moments. Finally, Counselor Mexarn spoke. If these recordings are authentic. If, I interrupted, unable to contain my indignation. Counselor, I assure you. Peace, Lieutenant, Tex R raised a hand. Standard verification protocols must be followed. But assuming your evidence is valid, it presents us with a serious dilemma. The humans are clearly dangerous, Vrax insisted. Their relationship with these alleged Watchers only makes them more so. We cannot allow such a volatile species to gain further technological advancement or influence. They already have the advancement, I pointed out. And they are not seeking conquest. They specifically said they want to be left alone. Yet they destroyed an entire civilization, Another counselor countered. In self-defense, I argued. The Kreks attacked them first. According to them, Vrax scoffed. High Counselor Texar rubbed his faceplates wearily. Lieutenant, thank you for your report. The Council needs to deliberate privately now. You are dismissed to quarters on Deck 14. Please remain available for further questions. I hesitated, sensing there was much more happening than I was being told. High Counselor, before I go, what is this main fleet Counselor Vrax mentioned? Texar shot Vrax an irritated look before answering. As a precautionary measure, the Confederation assembled a defensive task force while you were missing. It's currently holding position at the edge of the Thorax system. The Thorax system. Less than 2 light-years from Earth. How large a task force? I asked, my mouth suddenly dry. That will be all, Lieutenant, Texar said firmly. I bowed stiffly and left the command center, my mind racing. Something was very wrong. The Confederation was preparing for war while pretending to deliberate on peace. I needed to find my crew, and I needed to warn the humans. My assigned quarters were luxurious but locked from the outside. For a comfortable prison, I paced the room, trying to make sense of the situation. The communicator device General Parker had given me was hidden in a secret compartment of my uniform. I hadn't declared it upon our return a serious protocol violation, but one that now seemed prescient. The question was whether to use it. Contacting Earth without authorization would be treason. But if the Confederation was planning a preemptive strike? My door chimed, interrupting my thoughts. It slid open to reveal Drool, flanked by 2 guards. Security Officer Drool has requested to speak with you regarding a security matter, one guard announced stiffly. I nodded, hiding my surprise. Come in, officer. Drool entered, and the door closed behind him. He stood silently until the guard's footsteps receded down the hall. They separated us for debriefing, he said without preamble. Asked many questions about human weapons, not interested in diplomatic information. Where are the others? I asked. Detained. Different decks. Drool moved closer, lowering his already quiet voice. Ship preparing for combat. Heard crew talking. Fleet includes 30 battlecruisers, hundreds of fighters. My heart sank. That was a full-scale invasion force. How long until we rendezvous with the main fleet? 6 hours. Drool's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of extreme stress in his species. Lieutenant, the data backups. I hid one in the maintenance shaft near our ship before they took me. I stared at him with newfound respect. Good thinking, Drool. But it doesn't help us much now. There's more. He reached into a hidden pocket and withdrew a small object, an access card. Took this from guard during pat-down. Should work on door locks. I couldn't help but smile. Drool, you continue to surprise me. He shrugged his massive shoulders. Quiet ones often do. We need to get to our ship, I said, formulating a plan. If we can reach the hangar bay. Heavily guarded, Drool interrupted. But fewer guards on communications center, 1 level down. Perfect. If we can send a message to Earth warning them. Treason, Drool noted, though without judgment. Yes, I admitted. But the alternative is allowing a preemptive strike against a species that can destroy stars. The Confederation would be signing its own death warrant. Drool considered this, then nodded once. When? Now, I decided. Before they finished deliberations. He handed me the access card. I'll create distraction in opposite direction. Meet at hangar in 20 minutes if you succeed. And if I don't? Drool's mouth twisted in what might have been a smile. Then dying in human star fire better than Confederation prison. With that encouraging thought, he moved to the door, pressing his ear against it to listen for guards. The corridors were surprisingly empty as I made my way toward the communications center. Most of the crew was at battle stations, preparing for the rendezvous with the main fleet. Drool's access card worked flawlessly on the few locked doors I encountered. I was one corridor away from my destination when the alarm sounded. Attention all personnel, a voice blared through the ship-wide communication system. Security breach in engineering section. All available security personnel respond. Rules distraction. I quickened my pace, turning the final corner and froze. 2 guards stood outside the communications center, looking alert despite the alarm calling for security elsewhere. I ducked back behind the corner, thinking furiously. The direct approach wouldn't work. I needed another way in. My gaze traveled upward, noting the maintenance access panel in the ceiling. The battlecruiser's design was standardized. That panel would connect to the ship's maintenance tunnels, which should run above the communications center. Checking that the corridor was otherwise empty, I pulled myself up into the ceiling conduit and replaced the panel behind me. The narrow space was dusty and dimly lit by emergency lighting strips. I crawled forward, counting junctions until I estimated I was above the communications center. Carefully, I removed the access panel below me and peered down into the room. A single communications officer sat at the main console, monitoring transmissions. No guards inside, they were still posted at the door. I dropped silently into the room behind the officer. Before he could turn, I pressed a nerve point at the base of his neck, a non-lethal incapacitation technique that would leave him unconscious for several minutes. As he slumped in his chair, I dragged him aside and took his place at the console. The Confederation's communication systems were familiar territory. I'd trained on similar equipment before becoming a scout. The question was, how to contact Earth. I couldn't exactly send a normal transmission saying, "Hello, humans, just wanted to warn you that we are about to attack." It would be intercepted immediately. Then I remembered the quantum communicator General Parker had given me. I pulled it from my uniform and examined it closely. There was a small port on one side that looked compatible with our systems. Taking a deep breath, I connected the device to the console and activated it. The screen flickered, then stabilized, displaying unfamiliar symbols that must have been human writing. After a moment, the symbols were replaced by General Parker's face.
Lieutenant Zarquil, she said, looking surprised. This is unexpected. General Parker, I replied urgently. I don't have much time. The Confederation has assembled an invasion fleet near your system. 30 battlecruisers, hundreds of fighters. They are preparing for a preemptive strike. Her expression hardened. When? I don't know exactly. Hours, maybe days. I'm transmitting from their flagship now, but I'll likely be discovered soon. Why are you telling us this? She asked, her eyes narrowing with suspicion. You are betraying your own people. I'm trying to prevent a massacre, I replied honestly. If the Confederation attacks Earth, you'll retaliate. Billions will die on both sides. She studied me for a moment, then nodded. Thank you, Lieutenant. Earth won't forget this. There's more, I added quickly. My team and I, we believe in peace between our peoples. But we are being silenced. The military faction has taken control of the council. Understood. General Parker looked off screen, apparently giving orders to someone else. When she turned back, her expression was grave but determined. Lieutenant, can you transmit your coordinates?
I hesitated only briefly before entering the commands. Sent. But General, please, if possible, avoid unnecessary casualties. Many in the Confederation still hope for peaceful contact. We'll do what we can, she promised. You should get yourself to safety now. The door to the communications center hissed open behind me. But I'm afraid that won't be possible, I said, already raising my hands in surrender as I turned to face the security team entering the room, weapons drawn. Goodbye, Lieutenant, General Parker said softly. And good luck. The screen went dark just as Counselor Vrax pushed through the security team, her face contorted with rage. Traitor, she spat. Peacekeeper, I corrected. The Council never intended to consider my report, did they? You were planning this attack all along. The decision was made weeks ago, she confirmed coldly. While you were playing diplomat with the humans, we were preparing to eliminate the threat they pose. You are making a terrible mistake, I warned. The humans can destroy stars, Counselor, and they have powerful allies. Myths and legends, she dismissed. Take this traitor to the brig. We'll deal with him after we have secured Earth. As the guards led me away, I caught sight of a tactical display on one of the screens. The main fleet was already moving toward Earth's solar system. I'd done all I could. Now it was up to the humans. From my cell in the brig, I couldn't see what was happening. But I could feel it. The sudden acceleration as the battlecruiser jumped to hyperspace. And the battle alerts that began blaring throughout the ship. Subtle vibrations that indicated weapons being armed. War had begun. Hours passed with no news. I paced my cell, wondering about my crew's fate, wondering if I'd done enough or too much. Then, the impossible happened. The ship lurched violently, alarms screeching at a new pitch. Emergency lighting kicked in as the main power fluctuated. We are under attack, I realized, gripping the cell bars for stability as the ship shuddered again. A massive explosion rocked the vessel, throwing me against the back wall of my cell. Through the ringing in my ears, I heard the distinct sound of the brig door being forced open. Drool stood in the doorway, bleeding from a cut on his face but very much alive.
Time to go, he grunted, using a security override to open my cell.
What's happening? I asked as he handed me a weapon. Humans, he replied simply. They were waiting for us. We ran through the chaotic corridors of the ship, dodging panicked crew members and occasional structural collapses. How did you escape? I shouted over the alarms. Birds left when attacks started, Drool explained as we rounded a corner. I found Pax, Lore, and Trenka. They are at our scout ship. Our ship? It's still functional. Barely. Enough for short-range flight. We reached the hangar bay, which was in chaos. Fighters were launching, emergency teams were battling fires, and amid it all, our tiny scout vessel sat relatively untouched, even with Pax, Lore, and Trenka waving frantically from the open hatch. What took you so long? Trenka demanded as we raced up the ramp. Scenic route, Drool replied dryly. Pax, Lore was already at the navigation controls. The battlecruiser's shields are failing. If we are going to leave, it needs to be now. What's the situation outside? I asked, strapping into my command chair. Complete chaos, Trenka reported, bringing up the external sensors. The humans were ready for the fleet. They had some kind of, I don't even know what to call them, space stations that weren't there before, hidden throughout the system. The view screen showed the battle raging around us. Confederation battlecruisers exchanged fire with sleek human vessels and massive space platforms that seemed to have appeared from nowhere. Holographic camouflage, Pax, Lore said with professional admiration. They hid entire battle stations until our fleet was in the kill zone. Can we get a signal out? I asked Trenka. She nodded. Short range only. Our long-range communications are still offline, but a broadcast on all frequencies I ordered. Identify us as the reconnaissance team and request neutral status.
Are we defecting? Pax, Lore asked quietly.
I met her gaze steadily. We are choosing peace over extinction. The Confederation started this war. I won't be part of ending our civilization. No one argued. As Trenka sent our message, our tiny ship slipped out of the failing battlecruiser's hangar. The battle outside was intensifying. The Confederation ships were firing everything they had, but the human vessels moved with impossible speed, and their weapons cutting through our supposedly impenetrable shields like they weren't there. Something's wrong with our ships, Pax, Lore observed, studying the sensor readings. Power fluctuations, system failures. It's like they are shutting down from the inside. The Watchers, I realized. They said they had observers within the Confederation. What if they meant actual technological implants, backdoors in our systems? Before anyone could respond, our ship was caught in a tractor beam. A human vessel larger than our scout ship, but tiny compared to the battlecruisers, had locked onto us. They have received our transmission, Trenka reported with relief. They are acknowledging our neutral status and bringing us in. Through the view screen, we watched as the battle continued to rage. More Confederation ships were falling, disabled or destroyed. The humans were winning decisively. It's not just the humans fighting, Drool said suddenly, pointing to strange, silvery vessels that moved like liquid through space. Look. Look. The Watchers had joined the battle. 2 days later, we stood in the same underground facility where we had first met Nexus, watching as human officials and Confederation representatives signed a peace treaty. The war had been brief but devastating for the Confederation fleet. Not a single ship had escaped destruction or capture. Yet remarkably, casualties had been minimal. The humans and their Watcher allies had focused on disabling rather than destroying vessels when possible. Escape pods had been collected, survivors treated humanely. High Counselor Texar, looking humbled in a simple prisoner's jumpsuit, put his mark on the treaty document. General Parker signed for Earth. A silver, shifting figure Nexus witnessed for the Watchers. The terms are more than fair, Texar said to me quietly as the ceremony concluded. More than we deserve after our aggression. The humans don't want enemies, I replied. They never did. They just refused to be victims. And the Watchers? What do they want?
I glanced at Nexus, who seemed to notice my attention despite having no visible eyes. Balance, I think. They see something in humanity worth preserving, worth nurturing.
Dr. Kumar approached us, smiling warmly. Lieutenant Zar Kool, your actions saved countless lives on both sides. Earth owes you a debt. I shook my head. I just did what was right. Sometimes that's the hardest thing, he said wisely. Your team has been granted honorary Earth citizenship, should you wish to claim it. The Confederation's new provisional government has also pardoned you of all charges. And what happens now? I asked, looking around at the strange gathering of species. General Parker joined our conversation, her expression thoughtful. Now we rebuild. Learn from each other. Prepare. Prepare for what? She exchanged a glance with Nexus, who had glided silently to her side. The Watchers have been guiding both our civilizations for a reason, Lieutenant. There are threats in this galaxy far older and more dangerous than either of us. The Kreks, I guessed, were merely pawns, Nexus's telepathic voice explained, manipulated by forces they did not understand. Forces that seek to eliminate all sentient life that might one day challenge them. The real war, General Parker said grimly, hasn't even begun yet. I looked from the human general to the Silver Watcher to my own former leader. Then we'll need to stand together when it comes. Precisely why we intervened, Nexus confirmed. Divided, your civilizations would fall. United, with humanity's creativity and the Confederation's resources, you might survive what's coming. You might even win, General Parker added with a fierce grin. As I considered this ominous future, I couldn't help but appreciate the irony. The Confederation had feared humanity would be its destruction. Instead, humanity might be its salvation. So, I said finally, when do we start preparing for this real war? General Parker's smile turned serious. We already have, Lieutenant. We already have. Across the room, Drool caught my eye and nodded in silent understanding. Whatever came next, whatever ancient enemies awaited us in the dark between stars, we would face them together. Because if there was one lesson the Confederation needed to learn, it was the one the Kreks had discovered too late. Those who ask for blood may find themselves drowning in the fire of dying suns.
And next time, those suns wouldn't be our own.